Welcome to the Letters from a Left-Handed Girl podcast, as told by me, a left-handed girl. You can call me Kiara. And it's just a podcast where I come to you and read something that I wrote with my left hand because it might can help you. Why? Because I'm like a great thinker, writer, philosopher. And I actually started this podcast last month and I had a plethora of episodes for y'all that you would have been so interested in. It was history episodes, yes, because I'm like a real history nerd, right? And it pissed me off so bad because my sound quality was so good. My video quality was so good. The files came through my laptop corrupted. The files was just too big for my little old computer with its little old data. But let's get right up into the handwork, the shit that I wrote. This is the episode about the economy of desire, how women's sexuality built the world. So, ladies, clock in. This is going to really help my women who have been gaslit into feeling worthless because you're not like married or you're not looking for, is my audio recording? I fucking hope so, y'all. It's not easy podcasting. What was I talking about? Right. The economy of desire. How women's sexuality built the world. So back in April or May, I started working at this bar. And they ghosted me. Like no call, no text, nothing. Like we just had one bad night and they just couldn't let it go or something. What did I do? They owed me money as well, but I ended up getting my little $150 after like a month, and they was acting like I was really bothering them. Around that time, my kid's dad was in my ear talking about, why you want to work at a bar? You're 28, you got kids. You need something stable. Let's be for real. I would have had to spend money on gas, Uber, and bus fare. I had a car around that time, but y'all get what I'm saying. However you got to get to work, you have to figure out how you're going to get there yourself because you have to wait for the payroll to come back around again before you got to get paid. And you got to pay for childcare. And you just got to give people your time and energy before you get any motherfucking thing. How do you even know it's worth it? I can't even get a little deposit. I like getting at least some of my money at the end of the night. Even if I do still have to wait on a payroll, it's something called tips. And the tips that I get is depending on, my hospitality and all that. And also how attracting and enchanting I can be. And baby, that's what I specialize in. I figured something out in that moment. Women have always been told to suppress the very things that keeps the whole damn world spinning. Bookie, and it's this pussy. Our desirability, our power, our presence. We are the economy, literally. So tonight I'm talking about the economy of desire. How women's sexuality built the world. So if you have ever tuned into any of my history breakdowns, then you know that I like to use timeline charts most of the time so the shit can make sense to you. So we're going to start with the first known place to document something called sex work. And of course, it was ancient Mesopotamia. It is always going to be ancient Mesopotamia, Sumer, or even Egypt. You see, the thing about sex work in Mesopotamia is it was kind of ran off the Hammurabi Code. If you know anything about history, I guess, then you heard of the Hammurabi's Code. This was a bunch of laws and reinforcements by a man that ran shit around that time named Hammurabi. And basically, he said that you could sell that shit if you wanted to. If you owe somebody some money, if you just thought that's what you wanted to do. It was guidelines to it, of course, but you could do that. And you could also do it from a temple where these women did certain things. And I'm guessing it was like Kama Sutra, like really practicing sex, magic, and yoga, and y'all know what the fuck I'm talking about. I can't think of the name of it right now, but type shit, because they understand that the womb was a portal. The pussy was a portal. Just as most people understand that you can eat some coochie if you short on money, and abundance flows, bookie, because it's a magical portal. And we're going to get into how you can corrupt that portal in more ways than one when you do things that are not aligned with you, your sole purpose, your timeline, and just giving the shit away to motherfuckers who don't deserve it or see the worthiness in it or just want to capitalize off of it and do nothing for the goddess in return. Now, where was I? Basically, yes, you can go buy some pussy in ancient Mesopotamia for more reasons than one. And it was not just third dimensional mundane things all the time. A lot of the times the women that worked out of these sex temples worship certain goddesses. We move up to Greece and India, where sex work became an art of influence. Women learned to mix beauty with performance to gain power and patronage. And how could you blame them, honestly? And they was freaks in Greece anyway, so they normalized a lot of different things. For example, the heterae, they were a bunch of boss ass bitches who became like trophies because of their beauty and their knowledge and their dedication to the culture and the art around Greece. And a lot of times they spoke multiple different languages. These were the women you wanted to bring around when it was time to make deeds and alliances with other people in places of high power. Needless to say, a lot of these women married very wealthy. So if you are using your beauty as a resource, if you understand that you get a certain kind of attention by being a certain kind of way, and you use that to your benefit, and a man tells you that you are wrong and that you should want to be settled down and getting married, and that is just a man telling you that he wants to drain you of all of those goddamn resources. And what exactly can he offer you to make you want to relinquish all of those resources, energy, power, mystery, and shit over to him? Make that shit make sense, honey. Also around that same time in India, we had the Devitas. While these women were also fluent in the arts, just as the heterae, these women dominated the art of hip rolling. But we're going to also move down to the weird part of the timeline, which would have been the medieval Renaissance time period of Europe. And y'all already know how I feel about Europe and England. It was just a bunch of cis white men having a dick measuring contest and using God and religion to cover it up. This is the time period where sex work would have been looked at as a necessary evil. This time period thrived off of status and hierarchy as well. So of course the higher up courtiers and officials navigated political, culture, and art dealings. But the brothels of the time is what fueled economies and kept cities established and running. But let's get up out this weird part of the timeline, because that's when things started going left anyway. That's when patriarchy really started patriarching. You know what I mean? And that's why we got niggas talking crazy today. Moving right along to the Wild West saloon era of the late 1800s. Given that the societies were heavily male dominated, you pretty much had to choose as a girl if you wanted to be like, you know, a shoot 'em up bang bang princess riding a horse, or if you wanted to be a singer, a dancer, a waitress, or a bartender at a saloon. And these women were able to gain their survival and status in this way. And I actually really love that for them, because it didn't seem like they were being disrespected the way that women were being disrespected in the medieval times of Europe. It seemed like they were able to actually just be performers and got respected for it. Nevertheless, I'm not saying that all of it just was like, because at what point in time was women were fucking respected throughout history? I'll wait. I guess before patriarchy. Next, we're moving on to the burlesque area of the 20th century. This is where we get prominent figures such as Josephine Baker, Betty Page, and of course, Marilyn Monroe. This is where striptease, pinups, and Hollywood made sexual performances a global media kind of thing. But in hindsight, it was just more ways for men to capitalize from the essence of a woman. For example, the very first edition of Playboy magazine hit the scene around the time, and the cover featured a picture of Marilyn Monroe, only she was never asked to be on it. She was never compensated for it. Okay, so lastly, we're going to move on to the modern era, the early 2000s up until now. We got everything from Girls Gone Wild, strip clubs, brothels, Pornhub, OnlyFans. Bitch, you name it, we got it. And you can pay for it. This is the era where technology turned sex work into self-branding and entertainment and entrepreneurship. And this is, I guess, where the whole thing come in about, you know, throwing that spell at women that you should want the white picket fence and a dog and a fucking family and shit and a ring, and that you shouldn't want to, you know, I guess, be a professional attention seeker. Blurring the lines between amateur and professional, women were able to capitalize on their own bodies and, you know, to their own discretion. So basically, from sacred sex temples all the way down to OnlyFans, sex has always been more than pleasure. It has been power, survival, influence, and so much more across many different cultures. So my next question is, ladies, What makes you better than a hoe? What makes you better than a stripper because you work this job? What makes you better than a girl that want to do bottle service or bartending and has done that for years? Because first of all, those type of jobs are not easy. I like bartending and bottle service because when those type of places get really easy, it's easy for me to look like a normal person. I'm always hype. I'm always moving. I'm always thinking. I'm antsy. So I like moving around. The male gaze, I know what I can get from it, good and bad. But why is it that you always wish the bad parts on a woman that's just working her little number? What's the tea? I hope that y'all like this. I'm trying to keep all of my episodes under 10 minutes, and I hope that I told you something informative, and I hope that I empowered you the best way that I could. Because I do this shit for the 304s. We put the hoe in holy. All of this is walk-in mojo bags. This is rose quartz. It got real rose petals, brick dust, all of that. Wear it to your job. This is red because it's calling power. This is red because it is dominating. That is the intention behind it. And yes, this jewelry I'm wearing is it's a spiritual powerhouse for sure. It's very powerful. If you like my writing, I have audiobooks along with the jewelry posted up on my website, so you should go check it out, and you should join me back here for the remainder of the month because I'm going to be reading the rest of my book, Letters from a Left-Handed Girl. I love y'all, and I hope y'all enjoyed this